We have a staggered 2-year, 4 year. Got lucky. Good evening, everyone. It's 7 o'clock, and I'd like to welcome you to the October 16th special meeting of the Rochester Planning Commission. And Jeremy, would you please call the roll?
McGee.
Here.
Hauser. Here. Bixson.
Here.
Sage.
Here.
Gasson.
Here.
Kenjuk.
Here.
King.
Here.
Boyd. Stone.
Okay, we're in good shape. We have a quorum. Please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. At this point, we'll open the floor for public comment. I'd ask if anyone's in the audience, and is Rose? Rose, are you with us? Hello?
I am. I have no one online.
Good. No one waiting electronically. Anyone in the room have any public comment at this time? I'm just going to stick my nose in here quickly and thank everyone for their kind words. My mom passed away 2 weeks ago, and so I missed the last meeting. I thank you, sir, for...
Not a problem.
My mom was 101 and with it until July 1st, and then she fell, and things went the way they went. But it was pretty cool having a mom around that long, and one who could contribute and be part of the family. So she went fast and calm, and everything went fine. Appreciate the mayor and Nick for dropping by. Next, number 4, approval of the minutes. This is consideration of the minutes of the regular meeting of October 2nd. Has everyone had a chance to look them over? Do we have any corrections, amendments, deletion, or a motion?
So moved.
Moved by the mayor to approve those minutes. Is there support?
Support.
Support of Mr. Sage. Any discussion? The roll call, Jeremy. Yes.
Hauser.
Yes.
Bixson.
Yes.
Sage.
Yes.
Gasson.
Yes.
Kenjuk.
Yes.
King.
Yes.
Thank you. We have 3 public hearings tonight. Item 5, public hearings. A, notice of a public hearing, 422 South Main, Cafe 316. That's the name of it?
Yep, I'll take
Okay,
that
Nick.
one. Yep, so again, at 422 South Main, in the former La Macaron space. Sam's going to introduce himself in a little bit, taking over that cafe, and he'll explain what he's going to do there. And because La Macaron was really a bakery with just a few chairs, so they were counted as retail. So the way Sam's going to run his operation at 316 Cafe 316, he'll have more seats, coffee, some other things, which put it into the restaurant category. So that meant he was 4 parking spaces short by our ordinance. So this is for a pay in lieu of 4 parking spaces. You would have to pay the entire amount before getting a CFO. He's getting pretty close. I think he's in his final inspection. So Jeremy publicized this properly. So tonight is the public hearing. So if you'd like to hear from him about.
Hi, Sam. We'd like to meet you. Come on up. Come on up to the microphone.
Just say your name and address.
Hello, Samuel Kana, 422 South Main Street, Cafe 316, or similar concept to La Macaroons. We're going to be a Turkish/Middle Eastern baklava style pastry with some French pastries.
Did you bring samples?
Coming soon, hopefully in a couple of weeks. We'll bring some. And we'll have just maybe about 8 flavors of ice cream, as well as some cheesecakes and coffee.
Good Main Street activity.
Correct.
Okay, very good.
And he's having the perfect timing to open because he's going into the season. Lots start in January and February.
Yeah, the indoor
He's
season is
timing
here.
it perfectly.
Have you done these kinds of things in the past?
No, myself, I come from the construction background, and my partner comes from the retail background, and we wanted to do something to help out, and we're kind of segregating the stress of the kitchen and the retail. So our commissary kitchens are, elsewhere, and we're strictly focusing on good quality retail.
Okay. Nick, no changes to the facade, no changes to the parking?
No, just a new sign, which we'll approve.
Yep.
I think I already did approve.
Was
It already
approved, yeah.
ordered, so, yeah, but
Okay.
no facade changes or anything, so.
Okay. Any questions for Sam? We talked about this briefly at prior meeting, so I think we all have pretty good knowledge of it. So I'll ask if anyone on the commission would like to make a motion.
We should do a public, open the public hearing.
Oh, let's open the public hearing. We'll call it 7:05. I'll ask if anyone in the room wishes to speak on this subject. Cafe 316 on Main Street. Rose, do you have anyone?
No one's waiting.
Okay, thank you. We'll close the public hearing at 7:06. And now I'll ask if there's a motion.
So moved.
Moved by the mayor,
Support?
supported by Mr. Gasson. Any other discussion? The roll call, please.
McGee,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Vixen,
Yes.
Sage,
Yes.
Gasson,
Yes.
Kenjuk,
Yes.
King.
Yes.
Good luck, Sam. Hope everything goes well.
Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, the next item, B, notice of a public hearing, Great Oaks Maintenance Garage.
Vidya?
Vidya, are you with us?
Yes. Yes. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the
evening.
commission. Just a clarification, this proposal is on your agenda tonight, not just for public hearing, but it's also for action to be taken on the site plan. So I will summarize the project. It is a simple project that you have reviewed before. The Great Oaks apartment complex is constructing a 2,072 square foot maintenance garage for the apartment complex. The site is located north of West University Drive, west of Ludlow, and is zoned RM1, which is multiple family residential. Maintenance buildings are considered as accessory to multiple family dwellings and are permitted as an accessory use in the RM1 district. Now the site north is this way, to the left of your screen. So to the east is R1, and they have a private, I'm sorry, I stand corrected. North is up to the top of the page, and to the east is R1 zoning, to the south is O1, and to the west once again is RM1. Access to the site is through an existing private drive. It's a 60-foot wide access easement, which belongs to the apartment complex, which will provide access at the rear of the building. There is a proposed concrete driveway, which is deep enough to accommodate vehicles. It is 21 feet deep. Typical driveway depth is 20 feet. The garage is to be constructed entirely of brick and will not have any kind of office space in it. The applicant has designed the structure in order for it to blend in with the rest of the residential units in the site itself. The site has been reviewed for circulation. The plan requires the relocation of a couple of trees, which the applicant will be relocating on the site. So essentially, this is a vacant center in the parcel where the building is going to be constructed. At this time, the applicant has met all of the requirements for site plan review and approval. So subject to any comments being received at the public hearing, we would recommend that the Planning Commission grant site plan approval. The reason your packet does not have a new letter is the project is of a very small scope. We did not want to subject the applicant to another review letter by a consultant, so we just summarized whatever the applicant had to do, which they have met at this time. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions for the planner? Vidya, there was discussion of a variety of small things, the condition of the fencing, condition of some doors on the adjacent maintenance shed. There was some discussion about the need to move some trees. Can you talk about that stuff?
Yes, I believe the applicant was present at the last meeting when you had it before you on, that was September the 21st. The applicant explained that this building is going to occupy an area in the middle of the site, which will require the removal of 2 of these trees that are in the middle between it and the abutting building, and those trees will be relocated. I don't believe the applicant is removing any trees on the site, and an existing fence that is in a state of disrepair that the Planning Commission pointed out, I believe, is to be repaired. However, I will have the applicant clarify that when they step up to the lectern.
Okay. Good evening.
David Verduce, DNF Construction. I'm the general contractor.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Floor is yours.
So the trees are being relocated, as she just mentioned. And the fencing, which is the back that has nothing to really do with this project, is going to get repaired immediately. So
Good.
that's getting taken care of also.
Any questions for this gentleman? David?
Is this building, thank you, Mr. Chairman, is this building going to be, will public go to this building, or is it just staff?
Staff only. It's their maintenance building where they're gonna keep their equipment and tools and things.
Okay.
Yes.
And maybe a question to the planner. In light of it being just a staff-only building, is accessibility a question? The sidewalk goes up to a stoop, and which, it's hard to tell on the site plan, but on the plan, you can see, if you scroll up a little bit, there on the elevation, you can see there's a step at the door. And then when you scroll up to see the plan, it also shows a porch. Should that be ramped in any way, or because it's staff only, there's some condition where that's not necessary?
Since the building is intended purely for storage of vehicles and equipment, there is no office space in it per se, nor is there a full restroom. I do not believe the structure needs to comply with ADA requirements for barrier-free accessibility. All that is shown on the floor plan is a little wash basin in one corner. So ADA accessibility is required whenever a use is being provided to the general public that needs to be also provided to somebody who's got disabilities. In this case, the use of this building is extremely limited. So I do not believe it needs to comply with the general requirements for ADA accessibility. However, we can always have the building official review it once again just to make sure that that is accurate.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for the explanation.
The rear entrance will be at grade also. There is no stoop at rear entrance if it's necessary and somebody needs to get in.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
Or if you
thank
had a handicapped employee, but it is.
Exactly,
at grade.
exactly. If there's any handicapped employees, the rear door is not gonna have a step up. It'll be at grade.
I think that solves my question there. Thank you very much.
That's why I said that, yes.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, I'm going to open the public hearing at 7:14. I'm going to ask if there's anyone in the audience, or Rose, anyone waiting electronically who wishes to speak on this subject.
No one online.
No one waiting, okay. Anyone in the audience? No. Okay, we'll close the public hearing at 7:15, call it held, and back to the commissioners.
So moved.
Moved by the mayor,
Support?
supported by Mr. Gasson. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
McGee,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Vixen,
Yes.
Sage.
Yes.
Gasson,
Yes.
Kenjuk,
Yes.
King.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is 5C, notice of public hearing on the Parks Master Plan. Good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
Give us your name again, if you would.
Yeah, Alexis Farrell from McKenna.
Thanks, Alexa. Nice to see you
I
back.
do have this. Nice to see you all. Okay, so I just wanted to be able to get the plan up there if there's anything up for discussion, but what was in your packets was the first full draft of the Park and Recreation Master Plan update for this year. And so the idea is tonight that we will be opening the 30-day public comment period, which is a state requirement. The goal is to be able to submit this to the DNR on February 1st. And they have all of their requirements, so this is going to meet that. And I think my goal in coming here tonight as well is to get feedback from you all on the document. You know, you all know the community and the needs better than I do because I don't live here. And so, let's see if I can get the, do I have to minimize this?
Without.
Okay, so just to start, I just wanted to show you an updated schedule and where we're at. So We are here tonight to vote to open the public comment period for the next 30 days. My recommendation is that we open it on this Friday so that if there are revisions that you all want to see incorporated before it's published for the public consumption, that we have time to do those. And then if we open it on the 20th, having it open until November 20th, that'll give us more than the 30 days just to make sure we meet that requirement. And then after that, we have tentatively on our plan to come back to see you all on December 4th. That will be the public hearing where we will ask you to vote to recommend it to City Council that they adopt the plan. So, you know, there is some wiggle room given that the submission deadline isn't until February 1st. If you all are feeling that we're not ready by December 4th, there is a little bit of room, but if all goes to plan, we can head to City Council on December 11th, get the plan adopted. That gives us the full, over a month, couple of weeks in December, and then the full month of January to make any last minute revisions, get all of these submission requirements. The DNR requires a lot of attachments, things regarding the public hearing notices and information about past grants that they have given the city and how that has shown up in the parks and how that money was spent. And we will have that submitted to the DNR by February 1st. So this is where we're at right here. And then, you know, the last time we all met, we had just the first couple chapters ready for your review, and that included just an introduction, a community description with demographics and background about the city of Rochester, things that you all already know and are familiar with. And so at this meeting, we're here to take a look at all of the things that we've been working on for the last month and a half. So what we really focused on was making sure we updated information about the parks that has happened or changed within the last 5 years. So this is an update from the 2019 plan and talking about the progress that's been made, but also the different needs that the city now has based on demographic changes, and also the public engagement. So the public engagement concluded earlier this month. There was a online survey. There was a public event at Elizabeth Park where Jeremy and I believe Nick was.
How was that
you know,
attended? How was that attended?
I believe there was pretty good attendance.
Yeah, we had about 40 people show up. Majority of them showed up right away, which was nice because we had a larger crowd to have a nice discussion. And then they just kind of came in a little bit after as well.
People who typically lived in the immediate area.
Yeah, so I leafleted just over 1,000 houses and sent those out. It was an 1,800 square foot radius from the park. So it was
Get some good advice or comments?
Yeah, everybody was kind of in the same, wanting to do a very similar thing. Keep it a pocket park. We're not going to be adding parking. So we want to make it nice for the residents that live there, but not so nice that it would be needed parking eventually with like some major attraction. So definitely a playground. They were talking about just updating the pathways, maybe having them be able to be connected from the private as well, so they can have some better access. And then they talked about some more passive things like maybe hammock posts or some adult exercise equipment. So things that people will be able to enjoy. And
Very
bike
good.
racks. Yeah.
Thank you.
I just say it was very good turnout considering it was at the exact same time as the Michigan-Rutgers game.
We had it on our phone. We were watching it with some of the people and keeping up to date.
There you go. So it was still a good turnout, though.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
And you missed the Michigan Rutgers game?
No, I
To
missed,
fulfill your mayoral duties?
my mayoral duties required that I stay home and watch the Michigan game. Or so I was told.
I hear you. Got it.
Yeah, so.
Sorry about that.
No,
So-
perfectly fine. Yeah, and so, the public engagement was that critical piece that we were missing at the last meeting when I was here, that we have now incorporated into the plan. And that helped form the basis for the action plan. So this is updated goals for the next 5 years for the Parks and Recreation System in Rochester, as well as a 5-year capital improvement plan. So, I wasn't as involved with the development of that. That was really Jeremy and Alec, the Director of Public Services, had strong input on that, and we were just taking their leads. So, with that, if you have any questions or feedback, I'm really here to hear what you all have to say about the plan, and also want to make it clear that this is our first draft, and so the idea is that we're going to incorporate feedback from you all, but also over the next 30 days going to be taking in feedback from the public that will be incorporated into the plan before it goes to City Council.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Jeremy and Alec really grabbed onto this thing, and I took my time and read this a couple times, and Alexa, you guys did a great job. I'm most proud of that we went back, and it's painstaking, everybody went back to everything we said we were gonna try to do, and tied together with the string where the dollars were, how they were spent in the park, on every grant, on every little project. So right now, we have a really good baseline as to where we're at right now in time, which is way better than the last plan. It was just, that was really loose. This is really tight. So I give these guys, Alec and Jeremy, a lot of credit for digging into that. So I think when you read it slowly, it's got some really good information in there. And I think if, not necessarily tonight, they have to give all their comments, but in that 30 days,
Absolutely.
we get the information or any other questions to Jeremy or Alec, and we can incorporate that. So don't feel pressure to have to think of everything tonight.
This is scheduled for a public hearing, so I'm going to open it at this point, and it looks like about 7:22. Rose, you have anyone waiting to address the commission on this?
No one waiting.
Thank you. I think that'll come later. I would ask, does anyone in the room have any comments on this? So what you're asking us to do then is to declare the opening of what is the period of time?
It's the 30-day public
30-day
comment
public.
period, yes.
And then I assume at that time that'll be available for review at City Hall and all of those various things.
Yeah, so it will be online. I have a list of people that wanted to receive it from the Elizabeth Parks session. I'll have printed copies here if somebody wants to come in. They can review it with me, or I can set them down in the office and they can review it slowly or at their leisure. So we're going to be able to, anybody that wants to comment on it, we're going to help them out.
This isn't something we normally handle up here, so I'm just going to ask if, what do you want out of the planning commissioners? Is there anything specifically we should be focused on, or?
I think if you read it, you'll see the rhythm of it. If there's anything that sparks your interest personally, to make a comment, it's not in the official, there's no tasks of
Yes.
the commission. The fact that you live in the city, you experience the Parks and Recreation, your input is valuable.
Okay. Was there, David?
Yeah, I just wanted to say or commend the report. It's super nice, very professional, very clear, easy to read. I didn't read the whole thing, but it's really well done. So thank you to you and your team, as well as Jeremy and the administration. I do have a question. This is a 5-year plan. Is there an amendment process that could happen between now and 29, or does it's an update and it is what it is until 29?
That's a good question. I'm actually not sure of that, if there is an official
Nick, we have
process.
tight requirements relative to the actual master plan,
I'm not sure.
amending, et cetera, so.
Lydia, do you know? We can find that.
I'm sorry, could you say that again? I couldn't hear you.
If someone wanted to, if we wanted to amend the master plan between, the Parks master plan between now and 29, is there a process to do that, or it's locked in for 5 years?
No, I believe there is. The amendment to the park master plan is likely done the same way as you would do your regular master plan. Except the process is, it's got its own set time period as to how you have to propose the amendment and how the amendment is adopted. It's got a set, it's not as simple as a zoning text amendment, but not as complicated as a full-fledged master plan. It's in the middle somewhere, the process.
Okay.
Thank you.
Rich?
Yes, thank you. I do have a question and a concern regarding this, and it basically has to do on page 63, at least 63 of the report. It might be 65 on the presentation. But there is, I'll start with the question. There is a statement here that says there are two major public recreational facilities that are owned and maintained by the city of Rochester Hills that are adjacent to eastern Rochester. I'm racking my brain trying to figure out what are those two facilities.
I'm gonna guess Stony Creek. And,
Bloomer?
thank you. I'm guessing that's what it is.
Stony Creek.
So,
Stony Creek
The Metro Park?
Community Metro Park.
That would be mainly Washington Township and Oakland Township.
That's going to like.
How does it read, adjacent
Uh,
or nearby, or?
Well, it makes the
What about
statement that
Borden
it's
Park?
maintained by the city of Rochester Hills, owned and
Yeah.
maintained by the city.
Would it be Borden and Bloomer?
I don't know.
I know it's Bloomer for sure.
In Borden, yeah. Or is that one
We can
Easton, though?
figure out which two they are identical.
It would probably be best then to specify them by name. Then the other thing, my concern is really kind of a building on the comments I made at the last meeting that you were present. But it, again, on this page, it says private parks may be addressing the needs of those neighborhoods. I cannot agree with that. I'm just sorry. It's a misnomer, and I'm assuming that when you talk about the private parks, they're the private parks as they're noted on the various plats. And if that's the case, it's, I'm sorry to use the word, it's a joke. To give you an example, technically, we have 19 private parks in our subdivision. 13 of them, or 6 of them are split into various sections because of the 6 different phases that the subdivision was built in. We have over 6,000 linear feet that border DeQuinder, Parkdale, and Runyon, and these parks are only 60 feet wide. I don't think anybody in their right mind can think of a child playing on these berms next to a major road, okay? It's just not going to happen. The parks, for the most part, are part of the storm sewer system. We have 7 detention ponds in all of these parks. One of the parks actually has 2. So, again, I think it's a misnomer to include these as part of the private park system, and I can't say that the reason or the way these grounds are being used meet the needs of the residents.
Nick, this language is from long ago.
Yeah, but if I may though, but I know what they were talking about. It's the clubhouses with the pavilions and the pools. That's what they're
Pools
talking
and-
about.
yeah.
So what we need to do is make the language more clear that provides stuff for kids. There's pavilions, there's pools, not necessarily linear parks. We can clarify that, Rich. I understand what you're saying.
But having said that, Nick, that only takes care of Stony Creek Ridge and Creekside.
Great Oaks.
The people that live in Stony Point, Stony Creek Ridge North, and some of the other homeowners associations don't have any facilities like that they can use.
But I would retort with everybody on the west side, on my side, we don't have a park. You have to go to municipal
Right.
park, so it's the same thing.
It is and it isn't. If we take a look at the map where all the parks are currently located, there's an abundance of parks that are available on the west side.
If you're down in the corner, on the bottom left there, you're not, so. I don't know what else to say.
I think that's an accident of development. When that massive east side was put in,
Yeah.
the PUD process required those developers to add the parks as a component of the private
Yeah. I
development.
thought I read in this, and correct me
Whereas
if I'm wrong.
long ago, those developers were required to give public parks.
Right.
You can't do that anymore,
Right.
but I think it's just an accident of
I
development.
thought I read somewhere in there that said, while the east side is not supported by a physical public park, they had access to the rest of the park. It's in there someplace. I know I read it.
Well,
so-
could you
So
revisit all that
if I may,
language?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I think the confusion over here is whether it is an active park versus whether it is an open space. When the PUD plans were approved, it was probably required open space.
It was.
The open space, required open space. PUDs typically require so much amount of land to be set aside without any development on it. Open space doesn't necessarily mean usable, active open space. It can be a park, or it can be even stormwater detention areas, detention basins. Those are all counted as open space. So maybe we could go back and take a look at the concerns Commissioner Kenjic is raising and probably change the language to clearly reflect, not remove it from the context, but provide clear context as to if these are being called as park, this is what we mean by that. It is open space, but not active recreation. It's not like it's got a gazebo or other facilities on it, yet it is green space.
Yes, Vidya, you're correct. The residential agreement, I can't speak for all of the homeowners associations or all the subdivisions, but in our residential development agreement, it does reference it as open space. But if you look at the actual plat maps that are filed with the county, they're listed as private parks.
Sure. Yeah, and, you know, I brought up this map because one thing that was a little difficult to visualize, and it was the same way with the 2019 plan. So at the bottom here, there's a note about with mini parks, which are in the green, and neighborhood parks, there's a quarter-mile and half-mile, what they call service radius. So that's what you're looking at with the orange and the blue buffer zones. For community parks, so anything quite large, like municipal park, the service radius is considered to be 3 miles. So that actually covers the entire city, and I'm not, I understand your point. I just want to point out that it is misleading with the way that the map looks. Obviously, all the parks are on the west side, and one thing that I talked about with my colleagues is making a recommendation for the future that it is looked into a bit more with the private parks or open space, and how are they actually being used, how you know, could they be improved in any way? And also on the east side, there was initially, I believe, some conversation about how this area down here could be used as a park, but because of its topography, it would just be really challenging. So I think we could expand upon those challenges and also acknowledge that, yes, there are no public parks on the east side, and you know, not make it seem like it's alluding to the wrong thing.
You know, I understand the history, and I you know, recognize that when the newer homes were built, yes, they were designated as open spaces, you know, green belts, if you will, but and as a result, there's no real land you can develop. It's a challenge. I don't know if this is a possibility, but one thought would maybe be some sort of public-private partnership where the city can work in conjunction with the various homeowners associations and see if there's something they can do in a unique way.
It would be good to know if such things happen elsewhere in the country. Maybe you can use your resources to look into that.
Yeah.
There's some huge, beautiful pieces on the east side.
Yeah, and I think this is something that in our field we're thinking about a lot more creatively in the past decade or so than we were before, about public-private partnerships and how we can use this open space, because we recognize how valuable and important it is to offer it to all residents. So absolutely.
Yeah. Because my concern here is if we don't address it now, what's the chance it's going to be addressed 5 years from now?
I think the
Sure.
language you're reading was from 5 years or 10 years ago, probably. And it's just carried forward. So nice catch. We appreciate that.
What's, let me ask a question.
Sure.
What's number 5 on the map there?
That would be Howlett.
Howlett? Okay. So I don't think we, and correct me if I'm wrong, we don't capture Van Heusen Farms. And I know that's a private
That's Rochester
space.
Hills.
Is it Hills?
Part of it's ours.
Little sliver.
Which?
So,
Where,
Oh, yeah, because the new building that was built was actually in the Rochester part.
isn't it on the
it would be on the east.
On the south side
south side of the street?
Yeah.
It's just a little sliver. The white barn is in Rochester, right Right to the back of the barn there. You can see it there.
Yeah, the little roundabout.
And I will also say that we do address regional and other non-city-owned parks in the plan. I think with this update, we wanted to really focus on the city-owned parks because that is what you all are investing in. That is what the plan is focused on. You know, we want to have goals about how to make those and continue to make those thriving places. And so that's something that we could go kind of as brief or as broad as we want, and if there are additional things that you want us to touch on, we absolutely can.
Okay. So you can tempt us with some new language next time we see you.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right, we have a motion to put together, but I want to close the public hearing. We'll call it 7:36. And the public hearing's been held. And back to the table here. Stephen?
I do have a question. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So there was a discussion at a previous city council meeting regarding some of the parks in town and the opportunity, like Elizabeth Park, potentially put in grilling, but I didn't notice that on the action plan, so.
Okay.
Did that come up at your
It did,
open house?
and we checked with fire chief. Yes, the answer was we supported that. I think it even came up at the in-person park, so.
Well,
I swear the words
I'd
were
like
in
to
there.
capture that on potential improvements then in the master.
For Elizabeth, I thought we
Yeah.
actually had that in, yes, we'll put that in.
Absolutely. And what may have happened is, you know, I was not able to be at the event and I was trying to summarize, so things can sometimes get
Got
lost,
missed,
and we can
yeah.
absolutely add that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Definitely.
Hot dogs. Sounds pretty good. Any other questions? So would someone like to try a motion? And the motion should open, it'd be to set today as the opening of the 30-day period.
Friday.
Set Friday.
Set Friday as the opening day. Okay.
October 20th, yes. That
Someone
that
like
would be my
to try that
recommendation.
motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Sage this time, supported by the mayor. We okay on the language? Okay, good enough. Any discussion on this motion? The roll call.
McGee,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Vixen,
Yes.
Sage,
Yes.
Gasson,
Yes.
Kenjuk,
Yes.
King.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We'll see you next time.
Sounds good.
Okay, item number 6. This is consideration for a special project at 333 3rd Street, Rewald and Sons Development. Vidya, is that you?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. You've seen this project multiple times, so I will just do a brief refresher on it. The proposal before you tonight is for the construction of a new 2-story, 28,000 mixed-use building on a 1.62-acre parcel. I'll share the site plan on the screen. The site is located on the northeast corner of Water Street and East 3rd Street intersection and is zoned I-1, which is Industrial 1 District. The applicant is proposing this as a special project because retail uses such as the one proposed and the office use are not permitted specifically in the I-1 district. The special projects offers the Planning Commission and the City Council to accept a project which deviates from the requirements of the ordinance but contributes to overall public benefit to the community. The applicant previously appeared before you on August 7th and September 7th with preliminary plans to receive feedback. They had a public hearing on the project on October 2nd. However, a plan was not submitted in time for a review letter to be done and a sustainability evaluation to be done for the Planning Commission packet. So a public hearing has already been conducted. The plan is before you tonight, just for action. I'll summarize some of the key points of this project since the Planning Commission is very familiar with it. The site, one of the main aspects that was discussed is the circulation plan for the site and the traffic impacts that the proposed business may cause. And initially, the applicant had proposed adding a traffic light at this intersection of East 3rd and East 2nd but it was determined by the city that a traffic light at this time is not required at this point and will in fact create more issues than not. So the applicant has worked with the city to suggest alternate means of controlling traffic from the site. That being, there will be no left turn movement allowed from this access drive towards the intersection. This access drive is going to be right turn in and right turn out only. And similarly, there are turn movement restrictions also going to be placed at the intersection of East 3rd and East 2nd Street. The applicant is working with city administration and will also have to work with the city's engineers in order to make sure any turn movement restrictions meet the requirements for traffic movement in the area. All of the parking lot is laid out to meet the ordinance standards with regard to aisle width, parking space depth, and width. One of the items of discussion at the last meeting was the fact that all of the handicap accessible spaces were placed on the west side of the building and the restaurant patio was on the north side. So the applicant has moved 2 of the handicap accessible spaces next to the patio, and they do have a barrier-free access ramp, which allows for easy access to the restaurant patio area. With regard to architecture, the applicant revised the plan. The original plan before you was a 3-story building. It was then changed to a 2-story building. The entire structure is to be constructed of brick. There are recesses proposed in the wall, column features. Overall, the appearance of the building is designed to honor the mills, which is over a 120-year-old building located in the same larger area. The proposed building creates a cohesive architecture along with the flankly walled headquarters building to create this whole corner, which stays true to the historic roots of the community. So the applicant has shown a proper rendering. The original rendering before you did not include landscaping, which made it appear that there was a huge expanse of parking lot. The plan at this time shows you the trees. These are all trees. The applicant has just made them a little transparent so you can see the main entrance into the building. They have included additional amenities as requested by the Planning Commission in the form of a bench and bike racks. This is the restaurant patio at this place. One of the points of discussion was the placement of the mechanical unit on the south side of the building. If you look at the mechanical yard, the Planning Commission discussed why the mechanical yard was placed here and possibly not on the north side of the building. And the reason being, the applicant wanted to take advantage of the river, the creek, Paint Creek being right next here for the patio to be in close proximity. In addition to that, this was formerly a brownfield that has been cleaned up, and the underground environmental monitoring wells are located right over here. It would make sense to not have seating for a food service place right next to it. So the applicant proposed it on the north side also to take advantage of sunlight and other open air features. So at this time, we believe the placement of this mechanical equipment yard in here with the screen wall and the landscaping is suitable because there is a significant green belt also which screens it from East 2nd Street. With regard to lighting, plan proposes the installation of light poles within the parking lot islands, but the pole height has not been noted. It would be our recommendation that whatever light poles are installed here match the height of the light poles that are at the Revol headquarters building parking lot or at the Mills lot. If the architecture of the buildings is intended to create a cohesive appearance for the area as a whole, the light pole heights and the designs should also be compatible and match each other. Now, the elevations do not appear to show any wall-mounted light fixtures. It is reasonable to assume that there will be exterior wall-mounted light fixtures on this building to enhance it and also to provide some illumination to the restaurant patio area. We recommend that any building wall fixtures are compatible with the architectural style of the building itself. I'm hoping the applicant has an answer with regard to what kind of lighting they're going to be proposing on the exterior of the building tonight. With regard to signage, it's unclear if at this time the applicant is proposing to install any ground monument signs to identify this building. The site plan and the landscape plan don't show anything at either of the 2 access drives. It's unclear if it's going to be just wall signage. Should the applicant intend to install any monument or wall sign at a future date, all of the signs must be submitted for administrative approval prior to installation. We had, however, recommended that the applicant be prepared to answer that question tonight before you, so that the Planning Commission can review any monument sign design in order to ensure that it is also in keeping with the style of the building architecture itself. As a special project, the applicant is required to demonstrate that the site contributes something extra to the city as a whole and brings a public benefit. The applicant did fill out the Sustainable Rochester worksheet, and on the worksheet, the applicant scored a total of 16.5 out of 20 possible points. The project scored full points for all environmental health, fiscal strength, and downtown viability indicators. The project was unable to score points for public infrastructure improvements, but it does contribute to non-motorized infrastructure in terms of significant sidewalk connections at the corner, the sidewalk connection being proposed all the way from East 3rd Street along the front of the building and connecting to towards the Royal Park Hotel. So there is a contiguous sidewalk connection that is being presented, which contributes towards the non-motorized pathway for the site. The applicant is also attempting to improve the traffic circulation in that area by restricting turn movements in and out of the site and at the intersection. So overall, based upon the site being a brownfield that is being cleaned up, a proposed building architecture that is true to the character of the city, and the fact that this project has scored 16.5 out of 20 indicator points, it qualifies as a sustainable project. Our recommendation at this time is that the Planning Commission recommend approval of the special project and site plan for the proposed building to be located at 333 East 3rd Street, subject to 5 conditions. City engineer's approval of the access drive design and turn movement restrictions of East 3rd Street, limiting the parking lot light pole heights to the same height as the Revolve headquarters and Mills parking lots, installation of wall-mounted light fixtures consistent with the architectural style of the building, Planning Commission approval of the proposed sign location and design, and finally, Planning Commission and City Council's approval of the public benefit that is being secured by this project. I would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
So this is site plan and special consideration. So the, any
Special
motion?
project, yes.
Special project and site plan.
Yes.
Okay. Can we have, you're here. Welcome back. Good to see you.
I'm here.
Just, if you would give us your names.
I'm Sean Rewald, representing Frank Rewald and Sons.
And I'm Chris Aller with AKA Architects, 303 East 3rd, Rochester.
Very good.
Once again, a very thorough review from Vidya. Thank you. I think she's, after listening to all that, it doesn't seem like I have much to say, but I do have a few things to say. She's covered most of the details on things. The light poles for the parking lot, we will maintain the zoning ordinance requirements for that, so it'll be 20 feet or lower. There's actually 2 styles of light fixtures in the parking lot right now, more of a historic antique look associated with the mills, and the headquarters building is more of a contemporary light fixture with a shielded light source, and it's a lot more efficient. So we're planning on using the more contemporary fixtures so we can have less poles in the site and have better lighting in general, as opposed to those fixtures that have uplight components as well. Let's see. The building signage, we are not proposing any monument signage at this time. So all the signage, if any, will be on the building itself. We don't have anything to show as of right now. Once those signs are designed and we figure out what they look like, we'd come back for the appropriate approvals for that. Buildings lighting, we don't propose any like accent lighting or uplight. We don't plan to architecturally feature the building. Any light fixtures on the building will be used for egress. We have to provide adequate lighting at all the exit doors, and adequate lighting will at the patio area on the north side of the building as well.
Lighting on your proposed wall sign?
We don't know yet.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I don't know if they'll be self-illuminated or illuminated from elsewhere. So And the light fixtures will be in keeping with the style of the rest of the building itself. The public benefit to the project, besides just developing the site and improving the overall area, the Rewalds are willing to help improve the Lions Park just to the north of their headquarters building. So.
Any comment, Nick?
Yeah, so I've been talking to Mr. Rewald, Senior, to Frank, and about that. So I talked to Christie, it's our property, but they maintain it with the Lions. So we're talking about maybe a little pergola over it, some landscaping to soften it up a little bit. We don't really have a plan, but we will work together, and when it gets to city council, we can see if there's any suggestions there. It's pretty low-key spot, but we can soften it up a little bit, open up a view to the river a little bit. We talked about, should some money go to Elizabeth Park, it's too far away. We can't ask for money, it's try to do something that we both share in the benefit from. So Lions Shelter makes the most sense, Lions Park, so we'll keep working on that together.
Any questions for the architect?
I guess I would also offer, based on Commissioner Kinzick's remarks earlier, is there a way you could help us establish a public park on the east side?
It's got to, you can say if you want, but it's got to be to do with their property. You can't just.
Yes.
Go ahead, Vivian.
The public benefit that is secured by the project has to be related to this project also. The applicant can only provide something that they also get a benefit for. We cannot ask them to contribute towards something that is located in another part of the city.
That's why we thought Lions Shelter is adjacent to this, so that would make some sense.
Okay. Mr. Rewald, you don't think you're going to get away with standing?
I didn't think so, no.
Why don't you, I haven't met you before, but tell us where you fit into the Rewald scheme of things.
Sure. I'm Sean Rewald, part of the fourth generation, Frank Rewald and Sons. My brother Jason is the elder of us two.
Your father's Frank?
My father's Frank, grandfather was Roy, grandmother is Bev, lucky to have her. She's 94.
Yeah.
Recently had a fall herself, but she's bounced back, which we're thankful for. Been working full-time with the company for about 5 or 6 years now. Started sweeping floors, went to Michigan State for construction management.
Very good.
And now just trying to soak some things up from my father and brother while he's still around, which I don't think he has plans to leave anytime soon, but we're trying to sponge that up.
Thank you for introducing yourself.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Good. Any other questions for these gentlemen?
Yes,
David.
Mr. Chairman. Christian mentioned that from lighting will be like the contemporary, according to ordinance, 20 feet or lower. Is it meant, did you mean that you're going to match the light height of the headquarters building? Or is it going to be something different in height?
It would match the height of the headquarters building.
Okay.
And I would assume, unless it got built incorrectly, that that's to ordinance as well.
Okay, good. Yeah, I just didn't, when you said or lower, I didn't want to see a 20-footer and a 12-footer,
Yeah,
which would look odd.
It'll all be consistent. We haven't, I guess off the top of my head, we did provide some photometric studies for the site, but I can't recall if we were at 20 or if we're below 20 to get those adequate light levels.
As long as it's the same, I think that's
Yeah.
the important thing. And also, when signage was discussed, building signage, and then maybe it being illuminated versus lit. If signage is administratively approved, if site lighting is introduced to light the sign, would that come back as a site plan change? If it's not an illuminated sign, but being lit by a light fixture somewhere on site?
Not if it was adjacent to the sign. So part of the sign review process is just administratively, it's my job. If it's externally lit or lit from inside, it's part of our process.
It's part of the sign, okay. I just wanted to be clear on that.
That's fair.
And then, related to signage, regulatory signage for barrier-free parking isn't shown on the plan. And I think there's a good way to do it and a bad way to do it, and since it's not shown, it could show up as the bad way.
Okay.
And that is when it's put into the parking space, not on the curb. Generally what happens, now it's a main aisle, a car's not going to pull all the way in and be butt aisle out in the drive access. I think on the west or north, you could put it in the lawn because the sidewalk is relieved a little bit. on the west, you have a plaza and that sort of thing. And I think it's certainly reasonable and identified easily, since there are just two spots there, that you don't put it in the parking spot, you don't put it in the curb, but you put it in the two islands left and right. And it serves its purpose, and it makes it easier, much easier for someone to park and all those other people that want to pass behind them when their butt sticking out in the drive aisle. So-
Understood, I agree.
Put it in the right spot, and let it serve its purpose too, is.
Good idea.
I like to see it on the plan so it's not unclear, but as long as you understand my message, and if it shows up that way,
We can put that as a condition, and then when they take it to city council, we'll put it on the plans.
that'd be great.
Good. Other questions? Anyone have a motion? Needs to have two legs, this motion. Site plan approval and recommended approval of special projects and forward to the city council.
Are those two separate motions, or you want
I
to
think you can put it into one.
tail them together?
Yeah.
So I make a motion that we move this forward for special project approval to city council, and for site plan approve as submitted, with understanding that light poles are going to be similar in same height to the headquarters building, that the discussion of the special project part of development in Lions Park be worked out with administration before it goes to city council, and that the barrier-free parking be settled in terms of signage on plan before it goes to city council.
Okay, thank you.
Support.
Who supports that? Christian supports it. Moved and supported. Any other discussion? The roll call, please.
McGee,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Vixen,
Yes.
Sage.
Yes.
Gasson,
Yes.
Kenjuk,
Yes.
King.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
When's construction going to start?
Probably the spring.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to start in the fall, and it's like, probably not.
Fall's here.
Falls here.
Yeah. So probably the spring.
Thanks, Sean. Number 7, miscellaneous. Mr. Nick.
So everybody, top of a lot of folks' mind is still the marijuana situation going on.
Yeah.
Everybody's being very patient, answering everybody's questions. You see, now you start to see signs in favor of that. So some of the coalition, I think a lot of folks that live, you all live in town, have gotten postcards from both sides now. So I will tell you this, that what we're doing, and every time someone brings up a sign, we go look at it, code does, to make sure it's 6 square feet. So one went up today or yesterday on Moon River, it's too big. So we called them immediately and said, doesn't matter what it says, for or against, it's too big, make it 6 square feet. So we're trying to be consistent every time we see one. Mo at Sign
About in
Shop
front
had
of Tide Cleaners.
I think that, I don't know. I think that's,
Looks huge.
okay, I will check that one.
Is that a yes or no?
It's
That's
a yes.
Oh, there's a, yeah, oh,
So
I
I'm
did not see
guessing-
that then. Okay, that's probably
It
new.
probably went up during the day.
I will check that.
So I'm guessing that facility
that
is
wasn't there
in
before.
play.
Rumor has it, yes. So
Okay.
we will check that. But yeah, so they're all, everybody's treated the same. Doesn't matter what, it's a temporary sign. Political signs, ballot proposals, 6 square feet, period. So
Okay.
just so you know that we're doing that. Lots of paving going. So last week was Mill
Lots of
Week. So the state's doing a great job on Paint Creek Bridge. They took up.
What was
whole
the
deck
problem there? Was it you getting some leaks or?
Yeah, a lot of leaks. So the deck was really failing. So they basically replaced the whole deck on the east side last week, opened it up today. West deck was cut today. They'll pour it tomorrow, open it up in a week. So
Great.
that deck will be done. They'll go back and finish patching the South Bridge, the Clinton River Bridge. Parkdale's been milled, so that's, I think tomorrow they're gonna finish that paving. They can do it in one day. So it goes from the break at Parkdale all the way to the water tower. That was milled and filled 2 inches, so that's done. The subdivisions, I saw today, I think it was Stony
Creek Ridge North.
Creek Ridge, yep, they had that approach milled and filled today, I believe. They're paving when I was out there later. So, and then, the last part of our DWRS, which was the sewer replacement, sewer streets, sidewalks, gas, everything, water. The last segment is a bore job on South Wilcox from University to 7th. So they're going to bore that, but dig 2 pits in the road. So because they're digging up a substantial area of the intersections, Hutch Paving, who's doing the paving now, will come back as soon as that's done and finish that street, so it's a complete street.
They have to close the road to do that?
Yeah, yep, so we're doing notices to everybody, website, Facebook, everything to let everybody know. The alleys were milled last week and filled 2 days later, so the alleys behind the east and west are all, the bad parts are taken out, put back down. If you can go up the hill on First Street now, brand-new alley. And then that will be striped, the white stripe will go back down, and then the red stripe where you walk pedestrian-wise is going to be reinstituted both sides all the way up and down, weather depending. So we're excited about that. The DDA had that in their capital funds, so that'll clean that up nice and tight. South Castell's done, Wesley's done. What else were they milling and filling? In front of City Hall, this ring road here, they milled that last week and they paved it today. So we're making strides with our money from capital improvement programs, and the council's been good enough to fund it. Yeah, so we're trying to spend it all now and get it done this fall, so.
All right, well, I just had a
Sarah,
question.
sorry.
Since we were talking about that bridge, that they're paving now, routinely the sidewalk under there always floods, whenever the water, is there anything that
I
can be
answer that.
done to be
So,
done?
believe it or not, back in the day, that was made to flood. So what happens is you have a choke point under the bridge. It was there forever. So in order to store the water, not blowing out downstream, they literally made that to flood. So that was designed by the DNR back then to actually pinch down and flood there that deep. Goes down, our guys get out there with shovels and get all the silt out. It's a horrible situation, but it was literally engineered that way back in the 60s, I think.
Okay.
Either make the bridge wider or dig the stream deeper.
That's exactly right. We talked about that at one point. Could we blow that whole bridge out? You'd have to widen it 8 feet, and it wasn't appropriate. So it's not a mistake, believe it or not. Feels like it, but that's how it was designed.
Richard, you go next.
Yeah, Nick, they were supposed to do a lot of curb repair. They marked the utilities about a month ago, and nothing's happened since.
So that was gonna be my last painful, don't hit me, not in the face anyway. So we bid out a contract with a new contractor for cement work. Gave them linear feet, had a pre-job, told them exactly what's expected. So different communities do it different ways. So we were trying to stretch our dollars as far as we could. There's literally $1 million work out there when you hit both sides of Tinkin. So what we decided to do is instead of going, there's a standard way, other communities go 9 feet minimum. So picture this if you're a contractor, cut, remove, 1 pour. We decided to stretch our dollars to go to the broken spot, 3 feet, 3 feet, 3 feet. So that's cut. It was bid that way. The pre-job was on the site. It was marked that way. They got ready to start 2 weeks ago and came out and said, we're gonna lose money. We can't do this. We thought we were gonna go all 9 feet. No, we have gaps in between them. These are not replacing all the curbs. It would be $5 million. And they said, they reneged on their contract basically, so.
They walked.
So we're going, I think the mayor, you asked if we had any way to get money back. No, because they didn't spend any, or we didn't get charged anything. So, but we're disqualifying them and we're gonna rebid it in the spring. So letters went out, I think yesterday, maybe, to everybody explaining it. We actually tried to do a quick recover to say, I know a lot of the associations, we're gonna replace the aprons in front of the condos, a lot of those. And so then the association asked us, can we just do that section of curb? Because they have to match their new approaches, which have sunk to the curb. But again, they're in sections. So we talked to Roy at the association, said, we want to do it right. If you want to pay for the whole replacement of the curb, but why would you do that when we would do that when it's time? So we came to an agreement. We're not happy about this. This contractor will never bid anything here again. Caught everybody off guard, literally at the last second. We thought.
I don't know why they did it that way. There's so many cuts. Those
There's
cuts
a
are
lot.
so expensive.
They are, I know, and they should have, and then the next bidder was, he must have figured it out properly. He was like 400,000 more.
Yeah.
Now you know why, so, but they had the pre-job and showed him exactly what we were doing, and then he.
Nothing you could do about it, they just wouldn't do it.
But we're not out any funds, just time.
Just time, our marking, that's the only times.
Yeah, okay.
But, sorry about that.
one quick question. With respect to Wilcox, a neighbor asked me, is the street going to be redone as well, or just the water line?
So they're gonna do the water main first, that does half the road, so the DWRSF pays for half the road, then we're gonna come back and do the other half. So, new road. So it'll be milled, the whole road. will be
Okay, the
milled
whole
out.
road will be done,
You know,
okay.
In the end, it's gonna look like we're not doing the whole road, but we're not digging the whole road out, but when they're done, then they'll mill it.
Gotcha.
So it looks the same.
Thank you.
And, Jeremy, what's, next month, we have some stuff coming up?
Not yet.
Oh, not yet, oh, that's true, it depends on Vidya getting, what she needs from, 210 diversion, and then also the preserves from Ms. LaChurko, if she gets what she needs to be able to review it, we'll try to stay with the November meeting, so.
And
I
that's
know,
the only
Vidya, I
thing.
think you got some electronic, we're not committing to that being on, if we don't have her report.
I do have both the plans, Nick, and my plan is to review both of them for preliminary hearing before Planning Commission, hoping they don't have too many outstanding issues. I don't want to forward a plan to the Planning Commission that's got 2 to 3 pages worth of unaddressed comments, but hoping they have a reasonably good plan that can be presented to the Planning Commission.
I agree, and we met with them together on site, and we actually dialed it in, so hopefully they've done everything we asked before, so we're not gonna bring one here that's got, like she said, 2 pages worth of stuff. And the last good news is Mr. Schneider, you can see that garages are built, they're starting to brick them on Ferndale and Glendale.
Saw that today.
They're bricking finishing the second unit, those will be done, occupied in the spring, then he builds the other 8 right out of the gate, so.
He has sales.
He doesn't have sales, but he's got offers, I believe, so. But he wants those 2 done so he can market them over the winter.
Yeah.
I think he might even keep one as a model, to be honest with you. But the good news is, he pulled the rest of the permits and just keep going now, so we're getting the brickwork done, and I'm happy for him, and.
Yeah, I feel bad for the guy. He's had
Yeah,
some.
that was a tough road. And a couple of the buildings in town have sold, Third and East Alley, Mrs. Buckerfield's old building. Jen and John, Jen's the architect, called Oak Street Designs, so that's gonna be her headquarter building. We were worried we got some pretty weird requests for that building. Now she's got it, bought it, and they're going to, operate that as an architect's office.
Which building is this again?
So on the east alley, the west alley behind, the meeting house, so there's it's the Victorian Tea Rose, Tanya's Tea Rose, Tea Rose building, and
Yeah.
then the retail on the corner, but the little building that's 2 stories. We had people looking to do some pretty strange things in there. Lucky Jen was able to buy the building and make that her headquarters for Oak Street Design.
Very good.
No movement on Moon River yet. Again, the partners can't agree to sell or not sell, so I know they've had offers, 5 offers, but they haven't accepted any yet. And then I did confirm with the collision shop and the cleaners that it still is under contract. They're trying to get the people in LA that own the cleaners somehow to participate in the cleanup because it's coming from the cleaner
They
site.
control that property, though.
Correct. Yeah, they have control of the property and everything's still fine and moving that way, so.
Okay.
One final question, I promise. Randazzo at the end of the street?
Funny. So today, literally this morning, Mr. Randazzo called me, can I get a foundation permit? We would love to see you get going, but I'm a little nervous. We want to make sure we have, Randy will make sure everything's in place so we don't get a foundation bill. We'll have a bond, like we talked about
Yeah.
before, to restore it. So that's fine that you say you're gonna build it, we don't know what could ever happen, so a little leery about giving a foundation, but he said, it's gonna take me 6 months to dig that foundation because it's the parking structure, everything, so he's ready to go. So he got his Brownfield, City Council and Brownfield Authority was good enough to do that, so I suspect you'll see stuff maybe even in the fall still.
How have Dr. Atala's apartments done?
Sure. Try to say something nice. So I think the top floor was pretty much leased. Bottom floor had some major problems. The window wells that we worried about it's not working right. So there was one tenant in the basement and she's left. So that's all I can say. I don't think any other ones are. I went and saw them. They're absolutely gorgeous. No reason you want to be there. It's a good price point, but they're just not catching on in the basement. The lower level, sorry.
Okay. Anything else? Anything else? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have a comment. On a project we looked at a couple years ago, maybe a year or two, Forest Ridge Apartments, they had the outdoor canopy. I just want to say it turned out really good. I think it's really near done, and I was a real skeptic of how that was going to turn out, but
I credit Nick for that because I think it's the first time
contract
I think it's the first time the city administration here has gotten the intention of the owners of that complex.
Yeah, I will tell you, so I met Kate and Nathan. Nathan Leader owns it, and Kate is the unbelievable property manager. She runs all of his projects. So I met them there last Friday because they wanted to give me an update on the forest because the winds came through last spring and wiped out there. And they are so meticulous about, hey, can I cut that limb on that cottonwood that's gonna crush my, so the mayor said something publicly, and I told them that, and I think they actually saw it, about how he even saw the carports there, how they blended in. Landscape, they put the little split rail fences and landscaping, and it's unbelievably nice there. And Brian lives there here, and how they treat their tenants, and he said they're basically full. They had a couple units that they were vacant, but they just changed, actually, the manager on that property, but unbelievably came out even better than I thought it was. Those
Same here.
carports kind of blend in.
Yeah.
I drive there every morning, I go that way, and when the trees are leafed out, and then the landscaping around the bottom, they
For
were,
a 50-some-year-old
Yeah.
project. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
We're very
I'll say,
fortunate.
to Mr. Gass's point, I was a huge skeptic of that. And I went by there a few times and it looks really nice. So tell
I will.
tell the guys that
I
they
will.
did a really good
oh,
job.
well, and they appreciate, he knows, he's pretty stubborn, Nathan is. He's been doing this a long time. He does a lot of big projects, and he said, you guys were really tough on me. And he said, but look how it came out, and he's really proud that you guys pushed him that hard to make it look like that. So winners on both sides. as
We
he
took
said.
your lead. I appreciate it. Yep, very much so. Okay, anyone else have any comments? Well, then, this meete's adjourned.
I think Mr. Gasson's ready to go.
Next meeting, November 2nd.
That's funny.